Hey everybody, this is Adam with Apex Onshore, bringing you week 4 for the Tackle Tuesday series in collaboration with Spartan Tackle. This week we will be doing cast out leaders. Travis did Mako leaders, which pretty well handles most of the deployment leader builds. It's generally just a variation on that. So we're going to show you how to build a standard Apex Onshore 8-foot casting leader, and then I'm going to show you a few variations that we also have available as options if you so choose. Alright, so first off, our materials list. Here we have an 18-0 catch-all inline circle hook. Very large preference for these. I love them. They work great. They're sharp. They last a long time. 6 feet, 400-pound monofilament. 3.5 feet of 480-pound black-coated cable. A number 1 Roscoe snap swivel. 2 6.0 Roscoe swivels. 4 1.8 millimeter double barrel copper crimps. 4 2.3 millimeter aluminum double barrel crimps. And then we have our tools over here. We've got a pair of Boone hand crimpers. I prefer a bench crimper. It's great. They're just expensive, so I'm guessing most of y'all are probably using these or the Home Depot brand huge swaggers. And then we have dog nail clippers. Big shout out to Mr. Pete with Barrett Rod Company for sharing that little tip with people about a year or two ago. He made a video. They work amazing for cutting monofilament. I've had that same pair since like the day he did that video, and they're still going along strong. So for the sake of expediency, I'm only going to actually crimp one crimp on each of these to show you the general idea, or one side on each of these to show you the general idea how the crimps do and how the proper way to do a crimp. Travis also covered this in the other video, but if you haven't watched the other video, you wouldn't know about it. So first off, we're going to take our monofilament here, feed it into our 2 aluminum crimps. Then we put on our 6.0 swivel. Now, I'm a big fan of these offshore loops, and this is how you do it. I actually get quite a few people asking me about this. So, cross your line like that. Go through once, go through twice, and then just feed it through the eye of your swivel. If you are using a sliding snap swivel, leave yourself a good bit of tail here, because when you do it, let me feed this on real quick and I'll show you. If you have a sliding weight on your casting leaders, which standard, all of ours are sliding, you can also ask for a fix, which we'll go over. But when you do it, you cinch this down some and you got your crimp here. Now, your weight can slide. If you've got some back twists like this, your weight stops here and the legs won't come up and hit your main line or on the opposite side, get tangled in your bite section and keep your swivel from doing its job of spinning when it gets too tangled up. So we've got this side. We're going to grab this. Aluminum crimps on mono, copper crimps on cable. Aluminum crimps on mono, just crimp in the center. You've got these, they will crimp sufficiently that you only have to do it once. If you have a narrow set or you're using larger crimps, you may have to crimp twice. So we're going to do our second one here. We are going to, get tangled up. We're going to, there we go again. Get it so that your mono lines up at the edge of your crimp, which I am struggling with. Twist it up like that so that there's no loops. Nice and even there, and crimped. Alright, the Boones are a little bit small for this size of crimp, so sometimes you got to fight them off. So there you go. There is your first section there. Next up, now we are going to do a fixed position crimp here. So we are going to put 2 crimps on. Then we are going to take our number 1 snap swivel, put it on there. Then our 6.0 Roscoe swivel. Do our offshore loop. tight it in there. And then feed it into our crimp. That way, tighten it down a bit. That way, your weight is in a fixed position. This is a personal preference thing. I usually use them sliding because, again, with the weight here, it can get tangled up into your bite section because the legs are right into it. So I generally use the sliding myself. Some people have preferences for non-sliding, some people don't. So we've got that. Now we are going to grab the piece of cable that fell on the floor, feed on our 1.8 copper crimp, double barrel or oval, work good with the crimps. Doesn't matter all that much whether it's double barrel or oval. I also do an offshore loop on the cable here because the tricky part with coated cable is some of the brands of coated cable are a separate coating on the outside. Some are impregnated like into the cable like this is, so they can slide. I have not seen this issue with this particular brand of coated cable that we use, so it's not really an issue. But just in case, I still double crimp and offshore loop. Crimp all the way across on your copper crimps. And again, I'm going to twist this up. Crimp the entire crimp. There's my added security. So it'll end up looking like that. Now, here's where the variation comes in. And as far as I know, I'm the only manufacturer that's doing that or offering these types of rigs for sale. But it is a fixed position hook. In my previous video, I demonstrated with the wire, taping the connection there and then taping the entire area if you have double wire to watch with your fingers. I have found better hookup ratios with a hook that is fixed in place versus one that is free swinging. It's not a huge difference, but the thing I have noticed a major difference with is my hook does not double back, which I can demonstrate real quickly. Get your hook like okay, so you've got your hook like that, whatever, falling back, clipping behind your cable. Get your hook like this, sitting like this normally. If it falls like that and it catches on your cable like that. I've lost a couple of hookups for that exact reason, so I have gone to fixed position hooks for pretty much everything. What we're going to do differently, and this is an option, just got to ask for it if you put it in order for cast outs, is wrap once around the shank, and then another half around the shank, and go, oops, probably shouldn't have wore a black shirt, go back in the side you originally came, like that. So, just like that, put your crimp on, put one crimp on first, then as you press up this loop, pull, tighten it down, and cinch your crimp down. Voila, you have a fixed position hook with cable. I don't do this with wire because it sits funny and kind of oddly. I only do this with cable. With wire, you're still gonna have to use electrical tape. But this avoids you having to use electrical tape, and it keeps your connections visible so you can inspect them as whenever you need. I'm not a big fan of covering up my connections completely because if something goes wrong, I cannot check it. So we do not use products to cover them up. If you want to do that on your own, that's perfectly fine. Now we're going to show you a couple of variations. We got our standard sliding swivel stuck through the end of the swivel there. That is the mono section on a standard rig that we normally sell. If you want to fix, you just request it. And then that's actually the same thing we just did there. This is another variation on the fixed. Use your snap swivel instead of snap swivel and a swivel. This works better with a 6.0 Roscoe swivel. I used a 4.0 Roscoe swivel on this one because I was not paying attention to what what swivel I did for a previous attempt at this demo video, so, but you get the general idea of it. The 6.0 has a lot more room, so it doesn't quite pinch the mono like this. The swivel kind of catches on the mono a little bit because the eye is kind of small. Probably not going to be a big issue, especially because that's about 800 pounds of mono strength there. But if you're just using it through once and not using the offshore loop, it's even less of an issue. You got plenty more room. Now, this is another very little interesting thing that we've been doing here for a couple of years, and I actually did not completely finish doing this, but you can get the idea here. So you've got your standard section. Imagine a second crimp there because I forgot it. You've got your 2 crimps there, and then you've got a tag in where you have a 3rd crimp and you make a loop, which this one's actually kind of big. It would actually be about yay big or smaller. You want it to be pretty small. What that does is, some of you folks are familiar with this technique where when you're casting, you have your weight up here, you hook the leg of your weight through the loop for your wire or your cable, whatever you're using next to your hook. Gets it into a smaller package and easier to cast. This just makes a loop farther up from the hook that's a bit larger, that when you're throwing, your weight can come loose. So either way, if it's down here or up here, when you throw it, this loop or your loop down here is hanging on the weight leg. When it hits the water, the weight goes sailing past it, the bait comes down afterwards. It helps make a more compact package. It's a little bit easier to throw, it's a little bit easier to get better distance. But that's exactly what this is. It's just a bit larger loop for you to use. When you use it, make sure it is at least this far up, preferably back twist up like maybe 6 or 8 inches. The farther up you get, the better off you're going to be, and you want it to be small. And on the opposite side of your hook point, the reason for this is if it is too large, too close to the bottom of the hook, in front of the hook, when it's coming out, it can hit the inside of the shark's mouth and bounce it out. When it is a smallish loop, at least 4, 5, 6, 8 inches up, and on the opposite side, I have not seen this. I have not run into an issue with this. I've been running rigs like this pretty consistently for about 2 years now, and I believe I maybe missed one hookup, and I don't even think that was what it was from. I think it was just a tiny little shark. So, all right, there's your variations on it. All of these variations plus the standard rig are available from us at Apex Onshore. Check out the websites, SpartanTackle.com. Great products over there. Go give them a little bit of business if you need something. And if you need to get in contact with us for an order, or you just want to talk about shark fishing, you can also contact myself at Apex Onshore, the Facebook and the Instagram business page. Just shoot us a message. We've got a price list up there on there. We'll have a website coming up here sometime in the future. We're really, really busy at the moment, so it's kind of got pushed off. Just let us know what you want. Also, we've got our leaders, mono, coming soon, weights also on Shark Fishing Worldwide. So, all right, I believe that's it. So, good luck, everybody, and tight lines.